Okay, two things to talk about this week. The first one is the obvious one. It's the one that people are still yelling about in the world of gaming news. It's the PS5 Pro. The PS5 Pro has officially been announced. Guess what? It's got better graphics. The big thing is the GPU. It's 67% larger. That GPU has 28% faster memory within it, faster and more easily implemented ray tracing, and a PlayStation version of artificial, or rather machine learning upscaling, like DLSS or FSR, something like that. The PS version is called PSSR, which that will probably make a difference for games. The elevator pitch I thought made sense, where it's like, hey, players are choosing between performance mode or fidelity mode, and it seems like they're choosing performance mode most of the time. I know I usually am. So their idea was to kind of tackle that, combat that, and have games with higher frame rates that also don't have to look muddy and drop the resolution, thanks to all these clever tricks. I think my thing really with this announcement, this presentation, was that ultimately it wasn't that exciting. Like, I want to get excited, like to buy something, I want to get excited about it. And they don't feel really that excited about it. It almost felt more of like an obligation more than anything. It's not the tech stuff, the technical jargon I can get down with. It's just the fact that there's nothing too enticing about it. Like when you look at the side-by-side comparisons that they show, yes, frame rate differences are good. Those are very good, and I think those are going to make a difference. But that little bit of difference in fidelity is hard to see in compressed YouTube videos. Along with that, they showed updates on existing games, which is fine, but like some of those games are just ports of games from the PlayStation 4, showcasing that still this generation, this Xbox Series X PS5 generation, has been a bit of a strange one. With an event like this, I thought what could have really helped it was like, something cool, a big new game, or a tease of a game, or an update on like a game that looks really significant, or maybe like a DLC or an expansion coming to a game that's going to take advantage of these features. Nothing really like that at all. At least we know now that it's coming, and it's coming November 7th. With pre-orders starting September 26th. But this is where things get really crazy, because that stuff aside, for some people, that's a negligible upgrade. Some people really love counting the frames, counting the resolution, and they're going to want the best of the best no matter what, right? But where it gets a little bit more complicated is the price. It is $700 in the United States, but it is also 700 pounds. It is 800 euros, which means that people are getting nailed even more outside of the United States, if my math is correct. Plus, that aside, so $700, right, in the US, I knew this thing was going to be expensive. The PlayStation 5, if you were to just buy it today, it's like $500 if you were to try to go to Walmart to get one. But man, $700 is sticker shock, coupled with the fact that, and you've probably heard this, you've probably also already bitched about this, the fact that the stand that it is advertised with, the vertical stand, is sold separately, as well as a disk drive, which a significant portion of the player base has probably at least some physical games, meaning you're going to have to pay an additional fee just to be able to access those games. So you're looking at well over $700 possibly, and that is a tough sell for a lot of people. Gaming is one of the more expensive hobbies, and it's just getting more expensive. I did make this as a point in the Game Ranks video that we put out, but last time around with the PS4 Pro, that was a really, really long console generation, and it felt like it kind of really needed something. Also, the base PS4 prices had been dropping. Here, the PS5 itself is still rock solid from a price standpoint, and it seems like for a lot of people, it's rock solid for just doing what they want and playing their games. I will admit that every once in a while, I fire up a game on PlayStation 5, and I'm like, why is the frame rate not as good as it should be? Like, this sucks. Like, it's already like, the age is showing in places, but it's really still so kind of 50-50, wishy-washy, and depending on what game you play, that I think it's going to be a tough sell for a lot of consumers. Me personally, I will be completely honest with you guys, and I know some of you out there feel the same. I am a degenerate. I always have been with gaming stuff, with gaming hardware, with hardware in general. I've always been a first adopter. Like, it's just what I do to the detriment of my wallet, my bank account, my credit score. It's not a good place to be. And I am one of the people that I love playing games and I want to play them the best they can possibly be. So if this gives me that little bit of an edge and it makes my games a little bit better, I will go for it. But begrudgingly, at $700, it's tough. There's also the whole other thing, which is like $700 is now getting into the range of PC gaming territory, at least somewhat, like smaller level builds. But still, there are a lot of people chomping at the bit to get into that realm. When the Steam Deck dropped, the amount of people I had message me that were just like, hey, I want to get a Steam Deck. I'm new to PC gaming. What do I do? The amount of people that jumped on a Steam Deck because that was affordable just to get a taste of PC gaming means that there are people out there that really want this. And now I think with some people being maybe even some people who were waiting to buy a PS5, maybe waiting for this Pro to drop, now they're looking at that $700 price tag and thinking maybe a PC is a little bit more realistic. I will say, as somebody who has been a PC gamer for a long time and has had and built multiple PCs, yes, I do look at this and say, man, I do just have my PC, which kicks ass. But everybody's financial situation is different, and in some countries, PC hardware, PC products, PC components aren't as easily accessible at a good price. So some people, their only choice is consoles. I think it's just really interesting to see if those people who their only choice is consoles, is this enticing enough for them to really double down on it? There are the people, of course, like the Sony loyalists, the people who have been so invested in this ecosystem for so long that I think are going to get it regardless. But I'm really curious to see how the numbers shake out about this one, because like, yes, I am not too excited about the PS5 Pro. A lot of people think Sony is being really, what's the word? Daft, fucking shitty for charging more for the disk drive, the stand, stuff like that, leaving a bad taste in players' mouth. So I'm curious to see, with a lot of people being outspoken about not being into this, I'm curious to see what the actual sales numbers will be. Just today, the standalone disk drive that you would have to buy separately for this unit, which is compatible right now with the newer redesigned PS5 that dropped like a couple of months back, that is already for sale. It's been for sale and they have sold out. So I wonder very much if that is something that scalpers are getting ahead of things, or players that want this console and they're jumping on this thing. I have no way of knowing, but that's what I'm curious to see. Are the scalpers going to go for this thing? Since PS5, it's pretty much been like a scalper fever thing, and it seems like it's been a thing with every PlayStation device, like the PlayStation Portal. The PlayStation Portal, I will say, was another thing that a lot of people heard about and was like, I don't really need that. I don't really want that. That's all it does, right? Reviews were okay. I wasn't like super impressed with it at first. Like, it was fine. It was well made, just not really for my use case. Yet, the thing sold like hotcakes. It sold out everywhere. It was definitely some scalper activity, but also it seemed like there still ended up being a need for people. People really wanted this thing, despite looking at the internet and it seems like nobody wants it. So again, I'm not like defending Sony or anything. I'm just curious to see how this shakes out with the amount of people that are like, nah, this is a ripoff. I don't want this. People like me, also like other people out there, are degenerates. So I'm curious. I don't think this is the right move. I think for me, like if I was Sony, and again, I'm not a tech person, I am not like meeting with developers, learning about how they're working on games, right? But I would still wait on this. I think for a lot of reasons. The stuff we complained about previously, but also the fact that some people are only just still getting their hands on PlayStation 5. It feels like PlayStation 5 as a platform is only finally really getting its footing. So to already drop a Pro, I know it's been a couple of years and that time has flown by, but I don't know. I still just don't think the timing is quite right here. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, though. But like I said, I want to talk about two things. This is like a news show I usually do every Wednesday, unless I have like a review or something where I just talk about two news stories I find interesting, you know, something that to chew into, other than the Game Ranks Friday news show where I deliver all the news. Here, I just like to narrow it down to a couple of topics. And the other thing I did want to highlight is the GTA 6 kerfuffle that went on this week. You probably saw headlines of a rumor circulating around that Grand Theft Auto 6 had been delayed. This had been suggested by some folks online, a rumor circulating that was the Rockstar stated fall 2025 release window had moved. It had been pushed to early to mid 2026, leading to tons of people freaking out. While that picked up very quickly, like over the weekend, the beginning of the week, Jason Schreier, journalist at Bloomberg, did take to the internet to confirm. Good news is that 6 Rockstar employees all told me that they have not heard of any delay. Bad news, it is is a big, ambitious game and could very well slip. Too much time left to say anything definitive. I want to be clear. Six staff told me they weren't informed of a delay. For all I know, Rockstar's executive team could have decided months ago to delay GTA 6 without telling the company, but the lack of internal announcement suggests that the Twitter rumor was nonsense. Another week, another Grand Theft Auto 6 rumor, but I wanted to talk about this one a little bit because does anyone else out there feel like desensitized to this? I don't know if it's just years and years and years of being a video game fan and seeing game delays, or even the last couple of years seeing even more delays, that I've just been so desensitized to Grand Theft Auto 6. I know we got a trailer for it, right? And it is going to be one of the biggest game releases ever, but to me, it still just doesn't really feel like it's real. It feels like it's such a far off thing that I don't care. If it was delayed tomorrow, fine, whatever. I think there's a possibility it still very well could. That is literally me just like going by feel. And I know like it gets the headlines and people are like, comment, oh my God, Grand Theft Auto delayed. Holy shit, what are we gonna do? You know, but I really am like totally fine with it. When I saw it drop, I was like, okay, whatever. There's plenty of other things to play. I do think this is interesting if it does move or if it does shift or if more rumors pop up that it does really seem like it's being delayed. I don't think people realize how much of the industry is waiting in the wings, just paused, ready, waiting to see when Grand Theft Auto 6 will release. I have heard that publishers have been actually holding back on game releases, things that they know will be ready around that time, but holding back really announcing or showing them at all because they want a significant buffer window to release separately from GTA 6. This has been a thing. It was a thing with Grand Theft Auto 5. Publishers were concerned about releasing their game near it. I think it also kind of happened with Red Dead Redemption 2. But Grand Theft Auto 6 now is like on another level with that. So I am very curious to see how the release schedule, how the release slate shapes around when Grand Theft Auto's definitive release date drops. Because like I said, to me, it feels, and I've heard it like that a lot of publishers are just waiting. So it really almost looks like if Grand Theft Auto 6 kind of ends up in a little bit of a release purgatory for a little while, it could delay other games. It could confuse or muddle other release schedules. So I'm just curious to see what the real deal is with this thing is. I hope it gets a concrete release date nailed down soon, but I would love for that release date to actually be a solid one that doesn't move. But you never know. It's the video game industry. It's the video game world. Stuff gets delayed all the time, constantly. It is like a fact of life in this world. So there you have it. 2 news things I wanted to talk about in the gaming world. But I do have a bonus thing. I usually tend to throw in something that people wouldn't click on or care as much about. But this is weird to say out loud, but I'm like a diehard Beetlejuice fan. I love the original movie. It is absolutely perfect to me in every way. Loved it since I was a child. Loved the cartoon, all that. And I saw Beetlejuice, the new sequel, the legacy sequel. This whole thing, man. I am so cynical to this at this point, and I did not have high hopes for Beetlejuice. And after seeing it, my reaction is, yeah, that was a good time. That was fun. It felt like the people making it gave a shit. It wasn't the greatest movie in the world, but I had a good time at the movies. Now, to a lot of people, that's not good enough. And usually for me, yeah, it's not. And I don't know with this one. I think it's interesting to talk about because it was seeing a lot of the people really enjoying what they were doing. Tim Burton making a movie that just kind of felt like a normal movie and not like a big bullshit Dumbo thing like he's done in the past. That part was really refreshing. It had some new ideas. It had some interesting stuff. It had a lot of weird plot threads going on, but a couple of moments really, really made me laugh. Catherine O'Hara was the standout. I know, like, she's like the darling of the comedy world in a lot of ways, and for me, for classic movies and stuff. But here, I thought she was funnier than Michael Keaton. I think Michael Keaton's Beetlejuice here was still good, and he's clearly having a lot of fun. But where the old Beetlejuice was all over the place and up and down and doing 1,000 voices, this Beetlejuice, to me, just felt kind of like, hey, just one note, just very grumbly Beetlejuice. Still good, still funny, still disgusting, still perverted. So while I say like, yeah, it was all right, I had fun, you know, that's not like the most exciting, glowing review. I do think it has better staying power than a lot of the other legacy sequels that have come and gone. The amount of things that have been revived and brought back, and we brought back an old person, and then you forget about it instantly. Like a new Terminator movie that brought back like Sarah Connor or whoever, or the Hocus Pocus movie that came out a few years ago, the sequel to Hocus Pocus that I watched and then instantly completely forgot what I saw. I don't think I'm going to forget Beetlejuice quite as fast as I did with everything else. I think it had some moments that were really great and some moments that really made me laugh. So a lot of callbacks to the original, but a lot of unique moments that like took the Beetlejuice concept and kind of ran with it and kind of had fun. Jenna Ortega, who I've never seen in anything else before. I know she's like the big new thing. I thought she was pretty good. I really liked her arc that she had with like a love interest. It just really, really worked for me. It was charming. It was nice. It had some surprises and it just flowed really well. Also, the movie just had like incredible set design with a lot of physical stuff, yes, but like the underworld regions and like the offices and stuff being real actual places, to the town that they shot in, to the set decoration of these streets at night on Halloween. Absolutely, the vibes were there for me. I was really, really excited and happy to see the movie take place on Halloween. My nitpick, I know this might be an obvious or like a basic one, but I have a bit more to it. Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin not being in the movie. I found them to be the heart and soul of the original Beetlejuice. It was their story. It was Lydia's story as well, but I don't know. For them to not be here and quickly kind of washed away with like a quick line, like, oh, that didn't really work for me. Specifically because I found like I've probably watched Beetlejuice way too many times, but I'm sorry I'm going on a long thing here, but I really, really found the original ending, the ending of the original Beetlejuice to be a really, really special and nice thing. It is just such a lovely, good feeling you get after this movie to see Lydia come home from school with her newfound family and dancing with and the music, the Harry Belafonte song comes on, but also this interesting compromise with the house, with how the Dietzes live upstairs, the Maitlands live downstairs. So part of the story of the original Beetlejuice that I think is really underrated, and stick with me here, I'm going to come back around, is the fact that like it's a story about a family and a house and their life. The Maitlands were just two single people that loved their house. They took care of their house. They loved each other. It's very simple, very charming, classic thing. And then the whole idea of the story is them dying and like seeing your legacy, your past, your home being overwritten, being painted over. The Dietzes coming in with a completely different style and destroying the character and the beauty of this old classic house, right? So to see all the resolution at the end of Beetlejuice, but also to see the Maitlands kind of get their house back, that was a good feeling. That's a nice feeling. I like that. Home is literally where the heart is. And I think that movie really did a lot for those types of feelings and in understated ways. And in Beetlejuice, that kind of all is like out the window. None of it matters. The Maitlands are gone. The Dietzes have the house again, and it's painted weird colors, and it's dark, and it has lost all of its character, which to me, like, you know, you can just ignore this movie. It doesn't like undo the ending of the original, but like it does. I don't know. It just left kind of like a bummer feeling for me. But again, I'm coming from like a very specific thing that I loved about the first Beetlejuice. So maybe that's my problem. But it was just an observation I wanted to point out. Maybe I thought some of you guys would find that interesting. Still, everything else, Catherine O'Hara really legitimately made me like gut bust laugh a couple of times. I love that. Willem Dafoe, actually kind of goofy and having fun. Monica Bellucci is gorgeous. I've had a crush on her since I was a kid. Absolutely love just seeing her exist here. Some of the visual effects, some of the more practical effects, really cool to see. It didn't all land. Some of Beetlejuice's jokes fell completely flat with me, where in the first one I thought he was 100% bang on, crushed, murdered. So yeah, Beetlejuice, it is a thing. I just wanted to yap about it for a second because this is like my only opportunity to really talk about Beetlejuice, a movie I love so much. And while I'm glad this movie isn't a disaster, it was a fun, entertaining time at the movies, sure. I'm glad that either way, whether it was good or bad, I will always have the original, and I'm grateful for that. But come on! What, did I scare you? Sorry. Either way, though, I definitely want to know what you guys think, so let me know in the comments. The PlayStation 5 Pro stuff, obviously, I want to hear your heated opinions on that. Let me know what you think with Grand Theft Auto 6 and like my abstract. Like, does any of this matter? Are you with me on that? Are you desensitized to game delays at this point? And Beetlejuice. Let's talk about Beetlejuice. I don't know. Let me know. Let's talk about this stuff. If you like what I'm trying to do here, I'm talking about the news, but I'm ultimately talking about stuff I like, stuff I find interesting. Clicking the like button does help. Thank you. We're not going viral here, but we're having fun. So thanks for sticking around. As usual, though, I'm Jake Baldino. Thanks for watching. Subscribe because video games. Pizza's on me.